What is up, everybody? I'm No Lex Given, back with some more Hearthstone Battlegrounds, but today still is going to be post-commentary, though I'm going to do post-commentary over this entire game, with the footage a little bit sped up, because this is just an awesome game. So we've got Tavern Tier 7, and this is going to be the first time that I truly make use of Argent Braggart. I was tempted to pick Bran again, and I was chuckling to myself a little bit because I just had that really fun game with Bran that I put out, I think, late last week. But for this game with Tavern Tier 7, I'm gonna go for Emperor Phelan. I feel like Emperor Phelan gives you a great incentive to keep hitting that level up button, which is great when you've got access to Tavern Tier 7 in the lobby. We're going to kick things off with Low Flyer, and then I decide to go for Reanimating Rattler because it's just a strong card. It's not going to be as much stats as Electric Synthesizer, and it's not going to have as much upside as the Lookout. And I do kind of regret it once I find Young Murk-Eye, because that would have been great with the Lookout. The Lookout's just a little bit tricky if you don't have another Murloc. Like, maybe if my first character that I had picked up was a Murloc, I would have been more tempted to just go for the Lookout, and then I would have been set up really well for the Young Murk-Eye. But I went for the Reanimating Rattler, and honestly, this isn't too terrible in general, just because the Rattler also has pretty big upside, can do some fun stuff in a Tier 7 lobby, giving a Papa Bear Reborn. That can be really powerful, and yeah, I don't really regret my decision that much. It's just with the Young Murk-Eye, there definitely would have been some synergy with either of those other Battlecry cards that we could have found ourselves in possession of. Turn 3, I'm going to cycle through a Tad, pick up a Blazing Skyfin, and then pick up another Blazing Skyfin. I'm not going to turn down a pair. They both get pumped up by the Low Flyer. I could have gone for the South Sea Busker here as well, but it's not like I'm doing anything with the gold next turn. Next turn, I'm going to have 6 gold. That's enough to purchase 2 things, so it's not really going to... I mean, it would allow me to throw in a roll or something, but I think I'm more than happy to pick up the Blazing Skyfins here, and then next turn, I will look to pick up additional Battlecry characters. This is going to be enough to allow me to grab a win here, 50-50 to grab a tie, but we are indeed able to snag that win. So worked out well enough for us, and then I see 1 Battlecry card and 1 additional Murloc. We definitely go down the Murloc's trail quite heavily, which somewhat makes me regret not picking up the Lookout. But either way, we are pretty strong right now as we move into this turn 4 combat. A little bit of lag there, but after we get through that, I think we're doing good enough that we are going to be able to grab another tie. And that was a pretty even fight by the looks of it with my opponent's Divine Shield there. I've got 1 more Battlecry that I can pick up, and Twilight Emissary is really good here. I could have seen an argument for the Riptide, which moves you towards a second pair, which is pretty fun, but being able to pump up the Low Flyer just means that then everything gets an additional attack this turn other than one of those Blazing Skyfins. So overall, this is definitely the right pickup and is going to put us in a pretty good spot. Now I can just, like, imagine I was able to just hit the level up button here, and then I would have been able to grab a Lookout next turn. So this is the turn that, like, I most regret not just having access to Lookout, because not only is it better for our board, but it would have pumped up the Blazing Skyfins and potentially allowed us to do some other fun stuff. Whereas, like, as is, I can level up and then I'm just playing a 5-3 with Reanimating Rattler, no other beasts. I think it's ultimately still the play that I wind up going for here. And then I throw in 1 roll. Let me rewind here for a second. After leveling up, I've got 1 gold additionally there, so I throw in 1 roll, and then I find a Primal Fin Lookout. So I'm going to log on to that for next turn now, because, I mean, I could technically level up next turn. I could sell out of the Reanimating Rattler, and then I would be able to hit that level up button because I would have 10 gold, and then maybe be able to level up again pretty soon after that and get this young Murkai in play. But I think just picking up the Primal Fin Lookout on tier 4 is still pretty good. This game was played a little bit ago, so as a reminder, Base Skill is still a tier 4 character, and there's some other changes if you can remember back to that patch. So game has evolved a little bit since then, but this is still a really incredible game, so I just had to showcase it here with this one. I've got the Blazing Skyfin triple. I'm also able to pick up a Bream counter this turn and a second Bream counter with that Primal Fin Lookout. So that's great. I'll throw the Blazing Skyfin back in, look for a tier 5 card, and honestly, none of these are super impressive. I'm not going to full pivot to Pirates. It'll just cost me too much gold, and I want to pursue leveling up. So I just go for the Upbeat Impressionist, which I think can actually do some fun stuff. And about this time, I turned on Golden by Harry Styles to jam out to that. That was my soundtrack for the rest of this game. Just let that album play out. If you want to get in the mood here with me, though, I've got some other music playing on this video, so guess you won't be able to do that, but that's why I can't use any of the like live comments that I made. I did like kind of just, sometimes I'll just talk to myself as I'm playing, even when I'm not like really recording commentary. I'll just be like, oh sweet, you know, like that kind of stuff. Everybody talks to themselves, right? Now I'm just looking for a reasonable pirate to pick up and then hang on to, and with this Faceless Disciple that actually allows me a little bit more leeway here, because now what I can do is next turn level up, play the gold South Sea Busker, and then just use Faceless Disciple to transform my level 6 character into a level 7 character. So I'm taking a look at the possible level 7 hits on the sidebar right now. King Varian would be fine. Argent, Braggart, and Captain Sanders are typically misses, but because I have access to Young Murkai, I will be able to trigger Battlecry minions from the battlefield. So there's really not that many bad hits here, and most of these things I would be pretty excited to pick up. So this seems like a pretty good game plan, and that's why I'm rocking out right now to Golden by Harry Styles. So we can see my opponent here is doing some other fun stuff with battle cries themselves. But we're still pretty big with the Blazing Skyfin. We are ultimately going to lose this one, take a fairly decent chunk of damage. We were in second place here, so pretty high on the top of the lobby. The first place player is actually going to drop farther than us though, and we will be able to reclaim that first place position pretty soon. So now I'm going to play South Sea Busker, grab a level 6 character. Really doesn't matter what it is because I'm going to be turning it into a level 7 character. And I get Argent Braggart, which, you know, is good ultimately for where this video winds up taking us. But at the time, like, I wasn't super excited by it, but I did still realize I could use Young Murkai next turn on the Argent Braggart to make it into however big my Blazing Skyfin is. So at the very least, that seemed good enough to me. I potentially should have held on to the South Sea Busker because that battle cry Golden could have also been triggered by the Young Murkai. Wasn't really thinking about that at the time, and I do still have 2 other sweet battle cries in play. Probably going to be making use of the Primal Fin Lookout though, that I should have picked up off of that first Emperor Phelan discovery. But now we're in this position. We're doing okay. We're gonna lose. We're gonna take some damage, unfortunately, as my opponent has a tier 6 character stick around. So I take 13. But still, 13 damage, and now I'm going to be able to start to activate an Argent Braggart this turn. Seems like a pretty reasonable trade-off. I could even pick up this Transmuted Bramble Witch if I really want to, but I also wanted to pick up a Pirate because I wanted to discover another tier 7 thing next turn. So that is the plan here now. Just pick up a pirate and hang onto it in my hand. Probably the underhanded dealer, that seems fine. It's a cool enough character there. And then Argent Braggart will turn into a 1621, and I'll just grab a free random Murloc off of the lookout. So let's jump ahead a second here, and then I'll get an additional tier 7 discovery next turn. There's the base skill. At tier 4 though, doesn't matter, we're just grabbing a random Murloc at this point, and an additional 1621 is actually just enough stats to win it after we see what my opponent is potentially summoning through Baskill here. They're doing some crazy stuff with Rylek, and they also have a young Murkai of their own, but we tie. That's what I meant to say. We're gonna have enough stats just to make it through, which is great, and now we can start to do some really silly stuff. We have the Disco Shuffler for an additional trigger of some sort, and I'm also going to wind up grabbing the tier 7 here from the underhanded dealer. Not going to stick around with the underhanded dealer for too long, but then I'm going to pick up Captain Sanders. And if you haven't seen this interaction yet, this is really cool. So you can use Captain Sanders on young Murkai, and then you can put Captain Sanders next to young Murkai, and you get to go pretty crazy. Here's also where I will pick up the Disco Shuffler, because if you just target the Captain Sanders again, it will just make something else golden. So now my young Murkai is also golden, and that's going to happen multiple times, and then I find a Bran, so I can do it even more multiple times over and just make a bunch of fun stuff happen here. I also think I just pick up Rylek and then roll once or twice and try to pick up another young Murkai, but unfortunately my turn was over. It doesn't really matter because I'm going to get a hand full of Murlocs, and I also make Bran golden, so everything goes crazy. I make my entire board gold this turn, which is awesome. And yeah, just really sweet. I did pick up that interaction from watching Dog's videos, so shout outs to him. I'm pretty sure he did that in one of his videos, and I just thought that was super cool. So there goes me doing it again myself. And at this point, I just want to sell through all of these Murlocs in my hand. I picked up a Coral, as you can see, and I'm not going to worry about making additional things gold in my hand, though maybe that was a mistake because I could have made Coral golden. And I also have a Drakari enchanter here. Don't get too upset. Here's what I have to say. Despite the thumbnail and title and lead up in this video, did not quite understand what I have right here on the board. And what I have is absolute madness. It's mayhem. I should have picked up the Drakari. I should have made Drakari gold and just gone nuts with all of this. But I'll be honest, I didn't realize what exactly was going on yet. So that is going to mean that I'm not fully able to take advantage of it. Unfortunately, I just don't even pick up the Drakari at all. If you already know what's going on, this might not be as big of a surprise to you, but I had no idea that was going to happen. That was more or less just an accident there. I thought Argent Braggart was going to one time become bigger than Blazing Skyfin. I thought it was going to double up to a 56-68. I did not know that it was then going to double on itself again because of the brand. I didn't know that it counted itself. So many things say other and stuff like that and don't look at their own stats. Argent Braggart doubles the highest statted thing. So first it doubles up on the Blazing Skyfin, becomes a 56-68. Then it doubles up on itself, becomes a 112-136. Then it doubles up on itself again and again and again because of the Bran and the golden young Murkai. So this is absolutely nuts, and I wind up fielding a 1792-2176. And now I finally realize, I did not know up until this point, but now I finally realize how you actually put together the huge Argent Braggart boards. Argent Braggart just doubles up on itself. What I thought you had to do was choose the highest thing with Argent Braggart, then triple it, and then the triple one would then have double the stats of the normal one. But that's not how it works at all. It's actually just like so much more powerful than that, and something that you want to at least be thinking about in tier 7 lobbies with Young Murkai, because Young Murkai can then just triple the golden Argent Braggart even easier, and especially when there's pirates, apparently this is like a really, really good setup for it. Moira is cool, but she doesn't work really once we already have Bran, so I don't really need Moira at this point. And what I actually want here is to just use Upbeat Duo to get additional copies of Argent Braggart. What I'm looking to do is get an additional copy of Argent Braggart that will copy my other existing Argent Braggart. Then if I want to, I could Captain Sanders the second Argent Braggart and have them both feeding off of each other into something crazy. I'm already at 6-digit numbers that you can't even see on the screen right now, and we are 100% to win. My opponents have to scam us. It's as simple as that. They either scam us or they're probably going to die, especially as we lose the damage cap here. They'll take at least 14 from just Argent Braggart plus myself. I don't really know why I thought it was important to triple the Bream counter there. It does free up some of the room in my hand and ensure that we'll always summon it off the Baskill, though I don't think that that is terribly important either. And here I'm even considering like cutting the coral if I want to pick up like some other battle cards, but really now I'm just looking for a Captain Sanders, because end of this turn, Upbeat Duo is going to give me an additional copy of Argent Braggart, and I'm off to the races here. So I'm going to use Reef Explorer because I don't currently have a pirate. So I'm going to take a look and see if I can find a pirate. I get 3 looks. It pays for itself. So there's really no reason not to go for it here, and it more than pays for itself when I find a Murazand off of one of those discoveries there too, I think. All of that happened so quickly, but Murazand gives me 3 cards, and then I am able to find a Captain Sanders. How did I even find that? Wait a second, I gotta go back. That was just... Oh, that was from the Faceless. Okay, all of that happened so quick. This is on 1.5x speed as well, so forgive me. I did remember that I picked up a Captain Sanders before this turn was over. I thought that I rolled into it, but I got that from the Faceless. Now I'm just going to pick up some additional Scam. I can triple Upbeat Duo here, which is kind of funny, though I'd have to sell off a bunch of things for that to happen, so I'm not sure that that's really worth it. I'm debating, like, do I want to put Moira in, because Moira plus base skill can summon this entire hand full of Scam. Ultimately, I just decide to sell through the Moira and continue rolling, and then I'm going to throw in the Relentless Murghoul before the end of the turn here, just because I thought that would be good. Oh, I guess I go through a Busker. It does pay for itself. So I guess that's fine, and I don't really need all of these Leroys, but I do want to hang on to some here. Yeah, so I guess it's tricky because we're going to summon the Bream counter and the Captain Sanders as the 2 biggest things in my hand, but honestly, it's fine. Our Argent is like insanely big, but my opponent does awkwardly, unfortunately, have some Scam here, and we're not going to be able to deal with it, so it takes out my huge Argent Braggart. I'm still at 28, so I'm feeling okay, but some really, really terrible attacks for me mean that I take 30. Unfortunate. I finally put together an Argent Braggart board, finally figured out how to put together an Argent Braggart board, but unfortunately just did not have the time to fully put it together here. We'll take one last look at this screen so we can see that, right, I was going to grab another Argent Braggart from Upbeat Duo, and then I was going to be able to use Captain Sanders to make it golden, and then, I mean, yeah, that's just awesome. But unfortunately for me, my opponent was really well set up for exactly what I had, so that is unfortunately going to be it for me with this one. I still thought this was a really, really fun game, and it's like we're making progress, right? Because I did not even know how people were making these huge Argent Braggart comps before this game happened, and now I see it. Now I know what I have to do, and now I just have to try to win with it. That's gonna be it for me today. Thank you guys very much for watching. I'm No Lex Given. Peace.